Group 10 Metals is a member of the Metallic group of companies with the shared business approach of acquiring district-scale brownfields assets at the bottom of the metals cycle and applying a systematic approach to exploration. Modern technologies and exploration models are brought to bear with all three companies targeting world-class discoveries. Group 10 Metals is a growth stage exploration company focused on our 100% owned Stillwater West project in the Stillwater Igneous Complex in Montana, adjacent to Sibanye-Stillwater. In addition, the company owns the Black Lake-Drayton Gold Project in Ontario, which adjoins Treasury Metals' recently consolidated Goliath Goldland project. Stillwater is the highest grade platinum group element district in the world and the largest outside of South Africa and Russia. Sibanye-Stillwater operates 3 mines on the JM Reef deposit and also operate a smelter and refinery complex nearby. Group 10 has focused its exploration efforts on the lower portion of the magmatic layers at Stillwater, where we are the first to systematically explore for Platte Reef-style deposits, large and very large polymetallic deposits of palladium, platinum, rhodium, gold, nickel, and copper, 10 million ounces in size and larger, based on the known parallels with South Africa's Bushveld complex and an extensive database at Stillwater. Geochemical soil surveys show very high levels of metals in soils, including nickel, copper, palladium, platinum, and gold, across target areas that are multiple kilometers in size and often coincident with conductive high anomalies shown in geophysical surveys. Group 10 has distilled the database, including more than 30,000 meters of drill data to date, into a total of 14 multi-kilometer scale target areas, 8 of which target the Platte Reef model that we are bringing to the district, and 6 that target the conventional, more narrow, reef-type mineralization that Stillwater and Bushveld are more generally known for. Our 2019 drill program successfully provided the proof of concept we were looking for, and returned some of the best mineralized intercepts ever recorded in the district. We also relogged and reassayed past core to apply our new geologic model and develop preliminary block models in the 5 areas which demonstrated sufficient continuity in drill data for more than 200 holes. Our focus for 2020 is the delivery of formal resources at the 3 most advanced target areas, being HGR, Camp, and Discovery. At each of these target areas, we see long intervals, tens and hundreds of meters, of nickel and copper sulfide mineralization enriched in palladium, platinum, rhodium, gold, and cobalt. We have an earlier stage target at Crescent that we are now advancing towards a future drill campaign. And we have drill-defined high-grade gold in a shear zone at the Pine target. Our work recently opened up the potential for high-grade gold across the broader magmatic package outside of the confines of the shear zone at Pine, which is a very exciting discovery that we look forward to expanding upon. The system is broadly mineralized, and we are successfully targeting those areas that are potentially economic, with pods of mineralization tens to hundreds of meters thick and kilometers long, following the Platte Reef target model. All mineralized zones are open for expansion to adjacent conductive highs that have not been systematically tested to date. For 2020, we are permitted to step out from past work and test those conductive highs, which we believe are likely to contain mineralization based on our work elsewhere on the property. 3D geophysical modeling demonstrates significant potential at depth, with continuity of the magmatic layers reaching kilometers down into the Stillwater complex beneath known mineralized zones. We are positioned to deliver on our key objectives for 2020 as we are funded and permitted with approximately $3 million in the bank and an additional $4.7 million in the money warrants. We've come a long way from our initial acquisition in June of 2017, attracting a truly world-class team, proving the Platte Reef model, and block modeling mineralization in the most advanced target areas. For 2020, we are focused on converting those drill-defined mineralized zones to formal resources and expanding that mineralization into untested areas. We are also identifying and prioritizing new targets. 2019 was a breakout year for us, and we look forward to even bigger growth in 2020. Thank you all for your time, and please feel free to contact us for more information.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Great. You got some exciting things going on. And I'm going to remind everybody that to put forward their questions, all you need to do is click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to them. Michael, I have a couple from watching that presentation. I'd like to get things rolling a little bit here. Now, you mentioned that you're publishing a resource estimate this year. Can you provide an update? And do you expect that additional drilling is going to be required?
Yeah, well, it's resources plural, actually. As you saw there, we've got 5 areas that are holding together in terms of grade and continuity of drilling. 4 of those we are now advancing towards resources. And yes, we expect to do that this year. We have 12,000 meters of past core in our possession and the 1,600 meters that we added ourselves last year. And then we've got in the broader database a total of 30,000 meters. So that's a pretty good base to start with. We expect to debut those later this year and revalue the company on that basis, and then get to testing those adjacent conductive highs that have not been tested, as you just saw in the video there. We will be announcing our exploration plans for 2020 here shortly, and we're excited.
Excellent. And you've been getting a little bit of backwind from the markets. You saw a nice move in your share price when you announced gold results from Stillwater West. Given that and the strength of gold, relative strength of gold, what are your plans for Black Lake-Drayton Gold Project in Ontario for 2020 and maybe beyond?
Yeah, that one lives in the shadow of the Stillwater asset, which has to be the flagship. It's a fantastic project. Black Lake-Drayton could be a flagship for any other company, really. And with Treasury's recent progress consolidating that district, getting critical mass in terms of more than 3 million ounces high grade, and getting that EA permit on their mill, that district looks better and better, and at some point is going to be consolidated. Our project there, yeah, 127 holes in the database, 30 kilometers of strike, largely untested. It's basically the same model that we did at Stillwater. We just did it 8 years earlier. We were acquiring that ground starting 2012. As a result, and like Stillwater, it's 100% owned, subject only to standard royalties. Our plans there this year, modest surface programs, target refinement. We're focused very much on Stillwater. So our work at Black Lake-Drayton is really to get the best possible price in a deal, in a transaction of some kind. That project, you know, people were phoning me even a couple of years ago with interest in it, and that's only accelerated recently. I think you'll see us do the right deal at the right time on that ground. At present, we're considering deals with other companies. We constantly get expressions of interest. You may also see us spin that out in some form or other to get value one way or another for our shareholders. But we recognize that that's a high-grade gold asset in a very attractive and emerging district.
Absolutely, it's a nice asset to have. Yeah, it's a nice asset to have in this gold price environment. And moving back to Stillwater West, you know, there's different metals there. You have the platinum, the palladium, the nickel, and the copper. You know, from an investor point of view, they often want to get a better sense of what is in terms of value, what's the metal split there?
Yeah, well, I'll answer very broadly and then I'll get a little more specific. If we take just the broad basket of what we see across multiple targets, and this is across 25 kilometers of strike, it is a very large land position. It's a true polymetallic. So in broad brush, 1/3 palladium, 1/3 nickel, 1/3 other, with the other being rhodium, gold, cobalt, copper, platinum. However, you get to the pine target that the video touched on, and that's this high-grade gold occurrence where gold is very dominant, even half-ounce gold. And that was previously thought to be confined to the shear zone, but as you saw from our news release last week, we've just opened up the potential for that kind of gold across the magmatic package in the magmatic layers. And that reflects how underexplored this part of the Stillwater complex is. And that's been the surprise, and it's been an enormous gift to us. Elsewhere on the property, I think you could generalize that on the west, it's more precious metals dominant. So at Chrome Mountain, for example, you might see the palladium content swing higher than that 1/3 value I gave in the first place. And then over at Iron Mountain, that might become more nickel focused, for example. Still with the PGMs, but more nickel dominant. So it's a big property, and exactly which element you're focusing on depends on where you are to some degree, especially the more we get into this. Rhodium is worth mentioning, and that, as you saw, I mean, we announced up to almost 6 grams of rhodium, which I don't think I've seen anywhere else in recent memory. We also announced a number of samples at 0.5 gram per ton rhodium, which is the grade of the highest rhodium mines in the world in South Africa. That gets very interesting, and we're just beginning to understand that relationship and how that's distributed at Stillwater. That's a valuable co-product as well.
Excellent. How do you build that into your models on the rhodium? Where are you actively forecasting where prices might be on rhodium? I mean, it's also become a very topical metal in the last couple of years, but it's also really, it's only grabbed the attention of investors in the last year or so. What do you think the near-term and longer-term outlook for it are?
Well, it's in a chronic supply deficit, and that drove it to more than $11,000 US per ounce twice this year, once in February, once in March. Once this coronavirus has worked through, I expect it will still be in deficit. So we're bullish on all the PGMs, palladium as well, of course. Rhodium, yes, we do have a shot at including it in our resource, one of the resources, because we have the core of the Chrome Mountain, the work we're doing at the discovery target at Chrome Mountain. Will it make it in there or not? I don't know at this point. I don't think I should comment on that. The Iron Mountain and Camp targets that we're advancing resources on, those include older drilling that's generally lacking PGE data. So that would be dependent on what we can do with our drilling last year. We do have some of that core in the core shack. So there may be something to be done there in terms of rhodium, bringing rhodium into that resource.
Fantastic.
Projections, my crystal ball is broken, and I won't try to project the rhodium price 10 years out.
Your experience in the industry has taught you well. That could be dangerous. Listen, Michael, thank you very much for joining us. Platinum group metals are always oftentimes a difficult thing to play for the average investor. There's not a lot of projects in the world of this scale that are at this stage of the development, and having that rhodium play in there as well. Very interesting, very timely, and thanks for sharing the story. We'll watch with great interest in the coming years.
Thank you, and please feel free to sign up for updates. There's a lot more information on our websites.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Cheers.
Thank you.